Salam, Namaskar, good evening. On behalf of WBMDFC, we welcome all to the 74th episode of Online Career Counseling Program. Today, we'll be discussing on the career and opportunities and scholarship and higher education in China and Singapore. First, I'll say few words in Bangla, then we'll switch to English. পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সংখ্যালঘু উন্নয়ন ও বিত্ত নিগম সংখ্যালঘু সম্প্রদায়ের সামগ্রিক উন্নয়নের জন্য বিশেষ করে শিক্ষায় উৎসাহ দেওয়া ছাড়া ক্যারিয়ার কাউন্সেলিং নিয়ে বেশ কয়েক বছর ধরে ধারাবাহিকভাবে কাজ করছে। 2019 সালের ক্যারিয়ার কাউন্সেলিং এর উপর বিস্তারিত একটি বই প্রকাশিত হয় এবং এই বই সংখ্যালঘু সম্প্রদায়ে পড়ুয়াদের ভীষণভাবে কাজে লেগেছে তা আমরা জানতে পারি। এই হাত বইকে কেন্দ্র করে যখন জেলায় প্রচার ও কিছু পড়ুয়াদের সঙ্গে সরাসরি কিছু কর্মসূচির পরিকল্পনা করা হয়েছিল, তখন অতিমারির ক্রান্তিকালে আমাদের জীবনের নানা দিক নিয়ে বিপর্যস্ত করে। এখনো তার রেস শেষ হয়নি। করোনা মহামারীর কারণে পড়াশোনার স্বাভাবিক ছন্দ বিঘ্নিত। 2020 মার্চ মাস থেকে ছাত্রছাত্রীদের এবং প্রতিযোগিতামূলক পরীক্ষার জন্য উদ্যোগী প্রার্থীদের অনেকেই গৃহবন্দী পড়েন। সামাজিক দূরত্ব বজায় রাখতে হবে বলে এমনকি সহপাঠীদের সঙ্গে দেখা করা বা গ্রুপে পড়াশোনা করার সুযোগ বন্ধ হয়ে যায়। যারা দীর্ঘ সময় ধরে অতিবাহিত করতে করতে অনেকেই মানসিকভাবে ক্লান্ত হয়ে পড়ে, তাদের এই অফুরন্ত সময়কে কাজে লাগিয়ে জীবন গড়ার কাজে ব্যয় করতে পারে পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সংখ্যালঘু উন্নয়ন ও বিত্ত নিগম অর্থাৎ WBMDFC কেরিয়ার পথ নির্দেশ শীর্ষক এই অনলাইন কর্মসূচির সূচনা করে। এই অভিনব উদ্যোগে প্রায় 2 বছর ধরে বিভিন্ন প্রতিযোগিতামূলক পরীক্ষার প্রস্তুতিতে কৃতি ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কথা, তাদের সাফল্যের কথা শুনতে পেয়েছি। জুম ছাড়াও এই প্রোগ্রাম সরাসরি সম্প্রচারিত হচ্ছে WBMDFC ইউটিউব এবং ফেসবুকে। এই অনুষ্ঠানের সবচেয়ে আকর্ষণীয় দিক হলো বিশেষজ্ঞ ও সফল প্রার্থীদের কাছ থেকে সরাসরি প্রশ্ন করার সুযোগ। এছাড়া অনলাইন কেরিয়ার পথ নির্দেশ এই অনুষ্ঠানে গ্রামীণ ক্ষেত্রে অংশগ্রহণকারী ছেলেমেয়েরা তারা সরাসরি প্রশ্ন করতে পারে এবং তারা বিশেষজ্ঞদের কাছ থেকে উত্তর পায়। Initially, for few months, we have discussed what are the career opportunity in the government services, and in the middle, we have also discussed lot of career opportunity in the wake of pandemic, especially on the digital marketing, AI, artificial intelligence, etc., etc., and some skill to get those job. Now, for the last couple of months, we have been focusing on the career opportunities in abroad. What are the educational opportunities in the abroad and the scholarship opportunity? So today we are very honored to have with us Mr. Jean Liu, the Consul General of Chinese Consulate General in Kolkata. We welcome him, but before move on to it, I request Mr. Mriganko Biswas, MD of WBMDFC, to say few words about our initiative for the last 2 years and general activities of the WBMDFC. So I welcome Mriganko Biswas মহাশয়, আপনাকে কিছু কথা বলার জন্য আমাকে আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি।
Thank you, Sabir, for organizing this program for last 2 years. Actually, the corporation is doing so many schemes in addition to our weekly program of career counseling. So actually, today is a special day since Mr. Jia Liu, Consul General, Chinese Consulate General in Kolkata, is present today. It is a great honor to us. He is in our program. It is very, very thank you to you on behalf of the corporation. Besides Mr. Jia Liu, Manishankar Prasad, Tilak Jha, Savani Biswas also today present, and they will suggest and advise us how our people how to prepare themselves for foreign scholarship and higher studies in foreign countries. So thank you. It is a very thank you to all. তো আমরা তাদেরকে পেয়েছি আর আমাদের যারা পার্টিসিপেন্টস আছে তাদেরকেও থ্যাংক ইউ জানাচ্ছি যে তোমরা ইউ আর ভেরি লাকি যে সো মেনি ইম্পর্টেন্ট পিপলস আর হিয়ার টু গাইড ইউ অ্যান্ড অ্যাডভাইস ইউ অ্যান্ড সাজেস্ট ইউ হাউ টু get this scholarship, foreign scholarship, and also higher studies in foreign countries. It is a great opportunity, and I think there is hardly any department is doing such a program in West Bengal. So thank you to our secretary, Ahmad Ghulam Ali Ansari. In his inspiration, we are doing such an excellent program. And thank you, Sabir, also. He is very properly doing this work last 2 years. No more thing I'd like to say right now, since there are so many important people are here. Once again, I thank you, Consul General of Chinese Consulate and other guests also. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mr. Biswas, for your kind word. And as you always support us in our endeavor, and we would also like to thank Secretary Mohammad Ghulam Ali Ansari Sahab also in this regard. Now we're very lucky and privileged to have with us today Honorable Jean Liu, who is joining today as a lead speaker for the session. Just let me introduce, just in a brief word, he is Consul General here since 2019. And before that, he was a Deputy Consul General, Chinese Consulate General in San Francisco. And before that, he was also worked in United States as a consular and many other stints in across the world. And very enthusiastic about this special episode. So now I'll request Honorable Mr. Jean Liu to speak to start his lecture.
Okay, Sabi and the leadership from West Bengal government, I feel lucky and honored to be invited to brief young kids from West Bengal and elsewhere in India about China. I have been in this great state for the last more than 3.5 years. I have met many students, business leaders, educationalists, artists, and many more, and even scientists, legal professors, etc., etc. We have wonderful, I have wonderful experiences in talking with these people because I know from many friends that West Bengal, Bengali speaking friends, you lead the trend all the time. And over the years, I have dedicated my time, my effort to strengthen West Bengal's relationship with China. And this is the first time that our Minority Affairs and Finance Corporation West Bengal reach out to me. I do appreciate your reach out, and I feel privileged to present as the top diplomat in town to you, the China I know, the China where I had been educated as a Chinese diplomat. Personally, I have never been been taught in the United States or in the United Kingdom. I'm a total product of Chinese education system. So without going further, I want to, I have prepared some PPT for you, and not many. As a diplomat, I can speak as long as I wish, but I don't think that is a good idea. So I would go through a couple of slides so that you have tentative understanding. If you do have understanding about China, my presentation might give you some additional ideas. If insights, that is even better. So here we go. Can you see me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Career by education. Career by education for the millions of Indians, young Indians and Chinese are all the same. So while many Chinese young kids, they are pursuing overseas degrees and scholars and career opportunities, and Indian young people, you are also very aspire to a better life, better education. So here is that something we know about, but something that we need to be clearer about it. So China. I will cover basically 4 parts. One is impression in general. So what is China you are aspired to? Second is the situation of Indian students in China. Third one is the eligibility criteria for studying in China. And then in the end, I will try to conclude by some remarks. So here is impression on China. People nowadays talk about China, many positive, some negative, but China, like India, is a big country, a big civilization nation. So this is who we are, okay, from the orbit, from the moon. Here is China. And as you can see, this part is very high. This part, the top roof of the world, this green area in general is low, is plains. And this part actually is especially the plain of China. This is hilly. China has many provinces. Just like India, you have many pradeshes and federal territories. In China, we have these many 30 provinces, including Taiwan, Hainan Islands, and some of the South China Sea. So it's very huge. It's very huge. So my point is, whenever we talk about China, we need to know some of its topographic features. So when I say these are the Chinese provinces, in general, this is the line from northeast to southwest here. Here it is the line. To the west of this line, it's generally the plateaus and high mountains. And this part is the roof of the world, Tibet and Qinghai. And these parts to the east of this line is generally much lower, and many parts are very plain areas. My province, my home province here, it's Jiangsu province. It's totally a plain province. It's more like Bengali than other parts of Indian parishes. If you know Shanghai, okay, this is Shanghai. Shanghai is like Bombay or Kolkata in India. This is Beijing. This is Hong Kong, okay? This is Guangzhou, Hong Kong. In China, we talk about the north, China south. Along the big rivers is something like this, okay? This is Yangtze River, this is Yellow River, and in between, okay, this is the general line in the eastern part of China. To the north of this part of this line, we generally say we are northerners, just like North India, okay, Northern India, South India. To these provinces, these are the southerners. Specifically in tradition, Jiangsu province, Anhui province, Zhejiang province, Jiangxi province, these are the southern Chinese, typically southern Chinese provinces. This part is Sichuan province, Yunnan province close to Assam, okay, Yunnan province, Sichuan province close to Assam too. These are the major southwestern China. Xinjiang and Gansu province, part of Inner Mongolia, they are northwestern China. Dry. These are the very dry places. And this, this part is in China, we call the northeastern China. So basically, this is the general idea in China. When you talk with anyone, they would ask you, where are you from? You say, I'm from North China's blah, 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 provinces and cities. And this is what many, all over the world know about. This is Great Wall. Go to China, go to Great Wall to be a real man. In China, we say that, have you ever been to Great Wall? Well, if you have not, you are not yet a great man. So be there. And close to this Great Wall is Chinese capital. There are many, many top world's top universities in Beijing. In China, we call this Temple of Heaven. Temple of Heaven in Beijing. It's the symbol of China's, civilization. It is also a logo of Beijing municipality. Every year, millions of people visit the place. Okay. And Buddhism is from India. This temple, Chinese Buddhist temple, the earliest China's Buddhist temple, called the Temple of White Horse. 2 Indian monks carrying Buddhist sutra, the Buddhist classics, on horseback to China. They landed in this place in central China's Henan province. Let me show you where it is. Okay, this is Henan province. This is the province that houses the White Horse Temple. It is the beginning, it is the very beginning or the very hub from which Buddhism spread all across China. Actually, from Hindu Valley, Hindus River, today's Pakistan and part of Afghanistan, Buddhism traveled this way all the way to the east of China. There are many caves, there are many grottos, but after traveling thousands of miles, the White Horse monks landed in this place in Henan province. Okay, this is it is one of the most prestigious Muslim mosques in Xinjiang, very famous. And where's Xinjiang? Okay, this is ID Car Mosque. Okay, ID Car Mosque. Where's Xinjiang? Okay, this is Xinjiang. Okay, big desert, very dry, but a very developed actually. This is today's hub, Chinese hub for BRI initiative. It connects the east of China to Central Asia. So many businessmen, Chinese businessmen going to Europe, going to Central Asia, China, Europe, cargo, train, transit through this region. So this is Aidakar Mosque in Kashgar, south of Xinjiang. Okay, this Budala Palace in Tibet. Every Indian friends, especially Bengali friends, you know about Tibet, Tibetan Buddhism. And also, many friends asked me how you could travel to Tibet. So when you go to China, you know how to do that, how to go there. It's very high. The average is, between 3,000 to 4,000 meters high. It's very high. It takes very healthy body to be there, because there is, your blood pressure, your, lungs and your brains will feel the pressure once you get there. So this is Tibet. This is where? I think this is Yunnan province. No, this is the Chinese Taoist monastery in Beijing. Just like Hinduism in India, Taoism in China is Chinese native religion. And this is the main gate of Baiyun temple, that is White Cloud Temple in Beijing, in downtown Beijing. It's a very hot tourism destination. I remember when I lived in Beijing many years ago, I visited the temple to pay my, prayer, to wish my best for my kid, for my son. That's the Chinese Taoist Buddhism, Taoist temple in Beijing. China has many minorities, 56, right? And 56 minority groups. This is a photo one. There's a national event in Beijing, and all 56 minority representatives were taking a post for photo in Beijing Tiananmen Square. And I mentioned Yunnan province. Yunnan province alone, this is Yunnan province. Okay, this is Yunnan province, very close to Assam, close to Myanmar, close to Laos. This province alone has 25 minority groups. So China is many minority in one country, and they live, and also the world's major religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, and Chinese Taoism, they live hand in hand in China for many centuries. So, and this is Yunnan, the minorities garden. Visited the place, and you enjoy all the minority featured art programs. Many Bengali friends have been here, many. If we have time in the future, I will show you who are these people traveling to Yunnan province for degree. Okay, this is, I think this is Beijing. If you can recognize any of these young people, they are from India. These are the Indian students in China, and they are having a wonderful time, maybe on a weekend. It's 50 kilometers away from downtown Beijing. I will send you these photos when we finish our program. And doing business in China is very good. Actually, this is the campus life. This is where people, after graduation, you will land in Zhejiang province, a county level city called Yiwu. Just a couple of days ago, maybe half a month ago, one charter flight bring 100 businessmen, Indian businessmen from Delhi to this town to strike the deal. So having degrees and then doing business for your home is one of the very good opportunity to go to China. And this is the celebration of the chartered flight the other day. And there will be another one on September 23rd. The similar, bring another 100 plus Indian businessmen to China. So this is basically the part one. So part two, studying China, So one Xavier mentioned that the education opportunities. Basically, I would say studying China is not much different from studying in the US. I noticed that the US missions in India, they have granted many visas. That is very good news. If you are able to go to China, to the US, to the UK, that is very good idea. It's a sound opportunity. But going to China is something very similar. Chinese universities in many areas, just like India, you have IIT, IIM, you have many other medical degree colleges and universities. China too. The only difference is this. The difference is, one is, China is a country of Chinese language speaking. So you have to get some ideas of Chinese. The other difference is, the difference between you going to the US and you go to China. The difference is that you go to the US, you don't have any problems in English. Going to China, you stay in campuses that Chinese is the major language. This is one. The other one is cost. The cost. And what does that mean? So when I said that our Indian kids can choose to go to the US, the travel is expensive, the tuition fee is expensive, and in China, you can spend that similar money in China to do many more things, for fun, for pleasure, for traveling across many parts of China. That's much easier. These are the two differences, but now I come to some specifics for you to have a general ideas and compare. Okay, this one is I will give you these charts finished. So you just listen to my remarks. So this is the general information on international students from China and other countries in China, from India. Okay, Indian students and students from other countries in China. So this is the 2009. The total number is this, and by okay, by 2018, this is my figure. By 2009, it's much more. So for the degree students, no. Okay, nearly 50,000. In 2009, it's 234,000. So it's a big increase. For Indian students, this line is very useful for you. Okay, in 2009, this is 8,000 plus. By the year 2018, it is this number, 23,192. Actually, by 2019, maybe during the pandemic, pre-pandemic, there are many more Indians because hundreds of Indian students returned to India due to pandemic. The growth is something like this. So by 2018, the annual growth is like this. And today, India ranks as China's 4th largest country of Indian students. And Indian students account for 4.71% of total foreign students in China. And these are the degree seekers. Okay, we have non-degree students, non-degree students, PhD, master degree. These are the figures. My simple remark is that as early as 2009, the number of Indian students in China was very small, and by 2018, the number was fairly big, and it's increasing. And Xavier mentioned the scholarships. So for Indian students, this is the comparison from 2009 to 2018. Okay, we have these sub-columns, that is the degree students, non-degree students, undergraduate, and postgraduate. As you can see, basically it's increasing, but it's not many. My view is that Chinese universities Chinese universities Chinese provinces where these universities are located, the central government, they all have various scholarships. Just like in the United States, they offer you scholarships. In China, we do offer scholarships at the various levels. My office, the Chinese Consulate General in Kolkata, my office, every year we receive, a couple of scholarships from Yunnan province and from the center. Normally, we would publish the grant of the number of these scholarships for Indian kids to choose. And because it's not many, so it's quite competitive. My view is, as today it is the very first time that West Bengal Minority Affairs Department and Finance Corporation reach out to my office. I think, at least as far as my capacity is concerned, we can have a separate meeting as to how the number of scholarships from my side can meet as broad the needs as possible for West Bengal applicants. And here is a very interesting chart on the ratios, the percentages of majors, subjects of Indian students. The top one is medical degrees, mostly medical degrees. So it accounts for 78.2%. The others, the top one is the 7.7% in management, 6.8% in engineering, and others are, the top one is literature, 4%. The others are very, very low. I can tell you, so far as West Bengal is concerned, Chinese universities offer programs in management, engineering, law, science, economics, Chinese philosophy, okay, China studies. These are the majors I strongly recommend, encourage our Bengali aspirants for overseas degrees to apply, because as I said, Chinese universities like Peking University, Tsinghua University in Shanghai, Jiao Tong University in Beijing, Fudan University in Shanghai. Both Jiao Tong and Fudan are in Shanghai. My home province, Nanjing University. And recently, as you can see from the news, the Chinese announced that American, government waged very strong cyber attack on Chinese universities. One of the university is called Northwest China Northwest Industry University. It's one of the top science and technology university in China, bringing about, developing huge number of top talents for science and technology institutions of China. So Americans are very interested in this university. By this, I mean that, okay, you can apply to Harvard, Cambridge, and other university in UC Berkeley, for example. But you can also apply to these Chinese universities. Besides that, management, engineering, law, various sciences, economics, China do have good universities, very high quality. As I told at the beginning, I am a product of Chinese university, Chinese education system. So if you can understand my English was taught totally in China. So there are many people, if not many, I think a million people, hundreds of millions Chinese speak good English. And you Indian kids speaking good English are exactly the candidate applicants for Chinese universities. I strongly believe this. Indian kids with very good English command have a very good chance in landing in the best Chinese universities. I still want to comment on this, that for the medical degree, the other day in Kolkata, in Lake Club, I was invited to speak to a group Chinese alumni meet. More than 100 medical doctors, Indian, if not Bengali, Indian medical doctors who were all China returnees with medical degrees from Chinese medical colleges and universities. Actually, their pass out rate of the MBBS is very high. I don't remember other countries. China returnees pass out rate for MBBS examination is very high. So, okay. The eligibility criteria and academic requirements and other things like fees, process, application method, scholarship granting are basically the same across the globe. I mean, Chinese universities in any Chinese provinces are the same in like American universities, in any of the US universities, either in the West Coast or East Coast or Central Plains. These are the same. What I mean, the difference is, I want to emphasize this. The fees, okay, the fees, the money you have to pay. I mentioned the difference between you going to the US and you going to China is very obvious. The difference is very obvious. Going to Chinese university for a liberal art course, the annual is this IMB, annual IMB, this 1,400 to 26,000 Chinese IMB. And for the science and tech, it is this number. I will give you these numbers. Actually, you can check on any Chinese university website. I want to emphasize that take Yunnan province, for example. Okay, take Yunnan province. Yunnan has some of the top universities in, environment studies, geographical studies, and minority, political science, for example. Yunnan province has China's first yoga degree program. They have very close economic ties with West Bengal, with Kolkata, and with other parts of India. I want to mention this. From Kolkata here to Kunming, the capital of Yunnan, it's very close. It's only 2 hours. So 2 hours means you just buy the airfare from Kolkata to Delhi or to Bombay. My word is, studying China is cost effective with very high quality, if not a similar quality as the United States. You go to the US to have your degree and you land your career opportunities over there. But in China, while cost effective, you have the same high quality degree. And then, this is the last words I want to emphasize. After graduation, these regions, these vast East China coastal regions, and these central landlocked provinces all have very good career opportunities. I have talked to, I have met, I have communicated with quite some, if not many, quite some Indians working in China. They are in China as I just posted yesterday. I talked to a media lady. She's going to China daily in the next 2 weeks. So I met a scientist, I think he's a meteorologist, in Beijing, and now she's moved to Chinese Guangdong province from Beijing. And also TV anchors, commentators, medical doctors, etc. I can tell you, these coastal provinces are the vast areas. Many companies, world-class companies, they need good English-speaking, high-quality graduates from Chinese universities. If they can have young people from India who can speak good English, that will be wonderful. That will be wonderful. I once assisted one, Indian expat in China who returned to Kolkata for Spring Festival pre-pandemic. So he got stuck in Kolkata. He could not go back due to the visa issue. And actually, during the very short window time last year, I helped him with the visa. And also I helped him by calling the Chinese company. He was the VP of that manufacturing company. But because he could not be there for long, so the company wanted to dismiss him. I called the province, I called the company to say that due to this stoppable natural calamity, and you cannot do this. So the province and company took my advice by retaining him on the payroll. So he went back to China in the end. China is huge, China is so huge, and I just couldn't explain to you everything about the education opportunity and career opportunity in China. It's billions of people like India, but I do wish I can communicate with you in the future. And my office is based in Kolkata. Okay, I just want to stop here.
Right.
And
Right.
leave a few minutes for our friends to see whether you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jean Leo, for your wonderful presentation and giving a very comprehensive overview of opportunities of study in China and the scholarship opportunity. But couple of questions sent in our helpline number. First, from the data we can see there is a sharp increase of inflow of Indian students in China, especially in the field of the medicine. But one is asking there, as you rightly mentioned, there is other stream, for example, management, law, engineering. There is other field also too, and there is a good courses. But unfortunately, there is a inadequate information to us, where to go. So what are the outreach program by embassy or the consulate general here in Kolkata? So can you how our student regularly get information about the admission process? What are the universities? Has there any exchange program? So if you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay, this is a very good question. Actually, my office organized in 2018 a China education show in Kolkata. Many Chinese universities came to town. And later on, we could not do this because of the shortage of manpower. And also then we got stuck in pandemic. So if there's such a need, my office can continue. This is something I can promise. I visited the Department of Education in 2009, just a few months after I got to Kolkata. So I would definitely share this information with my home organizations, and my office would be happy to respond to any such needs. So today I have this show. I think that the West Bengal Minorities Affairs Department has done a wonderful job in making this connection happen. I will be happy to take questions later on. And you can check my website.
Right.
Also, you can, now to promote my Twitter. You follow my Twitter. If you have questions, put those questions on Twitter so that I can respond.
I think this is a great way to connect with you, those who have already asking that kind of a question. Second question is regarding the language proficiency. Beside English, if you had some proficiency in the Chinese language, that will be a great advantage for the student. So is there any online courses, or is there any opportunity in Kolkata where student can, before going to the, if somebody is going for a study, he or she will be staying there for 3 years, so it would be a great advantage if she knows the language. So what are the opportunities, somebody is asking, where we can learn Chinese language both for the career and also for the study? Is there any
Okay.
such opportunities?
Okay, in downtown Kolkata, there's a Kolkata Chinese Language Academy operated by Mr. Saraf. That is one. Normally, that targets much younger kids, and maybe there are some middle and high school students. That is one. That is scale and size cannot match the needs, tremendous needs. The other one is China Bhavan of Visva University. That is the formal Chinese language teaching, authority. Other platforms, I would, as I said, I feel that Chinese as a language is strongly needed in town, and I would love to discuss with our authority, the government of West Bengal, to see how I can help.
Right.
I would be happy to bring resources from China, either online, because I'm about to finish an online business Chinese training program sponsored by a Chinese university in Yunnan. So I would, as I promised, we can have a separate discussion on this. It will be wonderful.
Yeah.
If I can do this. Thank you.
Sir, I know you have to join another program. Can I just take 2 queries also, if you permit? I have to move by 7. So, but one regarding, you repeatedly talk about the cost effectiveness in terms of the other rest of the world, like for US, UK. But here, is some of the provinces you said is close to West Bengal, and its cost effectiveness is much higher than. Can you give some idea about the living cost or tuition cost in terms of INR? Because she's very particular about can't get what are the cost effectiveness it means. So a kind of an approximate cost for living cost or the tuition cost if it is self-financed.
I think this is the most important question, right? Cost effective. I give you specific examples. Let's back to the map. Okay, if okay, this is Sichuan province. This is Yunnan province.
Right.
Many of the medical students I mentioned, they study in this province. Sichuan province, Northwest China's medical university. Here, Kunming Medical University. While the living costs in these provinces are relatively rather low than these provinces. These provinces are very high, but these provinces are very low. Maybe for an undergraduate student, it's as low as maybe 100多吧. I can't think. I think it's couple of hundred, one or 100 or 200 RMB per month.
Right.
Per month. But this is not the most important. The most important is this, because many Indian kids tend to, take UC Berkeley, for example. You take Maryland University as the top choice if you have the scholarship. What I mean is that without these options, and you are still very good, because top Chinese students going to Harvard, 1 or 2 per semester. And what about the others? So the other students, you can also choose Peking University.
Right.
Hong Kong Polytechnic University. They are the top schools. What I mean is, when you go to these places, these universities, especially many of those who have returned, will tell you, maybe the other day, I would invite some of them to talk to you so that you know the handy experiences. Right. These schools will take very good care of these international students, especially students from India. Right. The schools I mentioned, over the years, every year they have hundreds Indian youngsters on campus. So cost is big, we need to be accurate, but I can tell you, you feel just assured.
Right.
When going to Chinese university, your cost issue will be the smallest.
Right. The final question, but that is related to this. Is there any restriction on the student who also want to work part-time, to meet the cost? Like in US and America, there is a restriction in how many hours you can work. Is there any law the student can't work, or do you have any idea on that? Somebody has raised this question that I want to.
This is very good. When I was in university in the 1980s, okay, in mid 1980s, I'm quite old and qualified to comment on this. When I was on campus, when I was 19, 20, I ordered something from factory to sell in the free market. This is something, and for the foreign students in China today, I do feel the opportunities are huge. And when you land there, you'll feel the potential is huge. I think my answer is positive, is yes. But for most of the other opportunities, go to China and explore for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Jean Leo, for a wonderful presentation as well as interaction. It has given a fairly good idea to pursue, and we want to take this discussion forward. Maybe some offline program, maybe more discussion, and there are many are also wants to pursue career in China. So we'll be discussing that too. But despite your very hectic schedule, you have agreed to come on for today's program. We are very much thankful on behalf of WBMDFC. I again thank you, for your time and the insight you have given, and this will be really useful since this is going online and both in the Facebook and YouTube. This will be remain with us. So even in the later who will view this, this will be the very useful information for our students, especially from the minority communities in West Bengal. So once again, thank you very much on behalf of WBMDFC. I'd like to thank you once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I wish to meet you other times and wish you all good luck. And keep asking me questions.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And your Twitter handle is open, so I'll encourage other people to follow and raise question directly. So he will be happy to respond to your
question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Xavier. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
আপনারা এতক্ষণ ধরে শুনছিলেন, আলোচনা করছিলেন, খুবই কম্প্রিহেন্সিভ আলোচনা আমাদের মধ্যে করলেন Mr. Jean Leo, the Consul General of China Consulate in India. So now will be next I'll request Arshad to join for today's discussion. Arshad, just a second. Can you just unmute? Arshad, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Mr. Sabi.
Yeah, so just I'd like to introduce also Arshad. Received PhD from the South Asian Studies Program of National University of Singapore. His doctoral project focuses on the Muslim involvement in Indian news media. He worked as a media researcher at the Center for Culture, Media and Governance of the Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, from August 2012 to June 17. Before 2012, he was working in the media sector. His research interests include digital media, democracy, Muslim public sphere in South Asia. Arshad, thank you very much for joining us. So we would like to hear from you. You can speak in Hindi and also English partly on the career opportunity, educational opportunity in Singapore. Over to you, Arshad.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for providing this opportunity to, to share what I know about Singapore.
Right.
Since I was with National University of Singapore, so I'll restrict myself to NUS,
Right.
as we call it in short. Sorry. So I'll be bilingual, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
You can use Hindi also.
Hindi also, yeah.
Ah.
Hindi, Urdu, English. Yeah, English is the better word, I guess. Quite trendy these days.
Right.
So I mean, in US, I was part of South Asian Studies program. Uh, so, so it's a humanities and social sciences. It's not engineering, management, and business studies. Uh, as you know, that universities are organized along two lines. एक तो आपके mother disciplines होते हैं. So like you have a department of sociology, psychology, political science, और दूसरा है area studies like South Asian studies, Southeast Asian studies, Japanese studies. So mother disciplines related or discipline related जो department है वहाँ पे the focus is on discipline and you can work on any part of the world as your geographical focus, but you adhere to that particular discipline and उनके जो canons हैं, जो theorists हैं और जो research questions और focus उनका होता है, तो उसकी रोशनी में फिर आप अपने research questions को तलाश करते हैं और उसका जवाब जानने की कोशिश करते हैं. So mine was South Asian studies. South Asian studies is open to all students who want to work on South Asia, meaning like 9 countries, but mostly India is the biggest one. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Yeah. So आप किसी भी discipline से आए, but if you have like 55% in your masters, so you can apply for it. आप website को देखिए जा करके उनके. It's quite comprehensive and the staff is also very responsive. So अगर आप email उनको लिखते हैं कि हमें ये information चाहिए, so they will be very prompt and happy to address your query. एक intake होता है जब आप बाहर की यूनिवर्सिटीज में जाएंगे, इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटीज में भी एक intake होता है, कहीं कहीं पे 2 होता है कि 2 बार एडमिशन हो रहा है, लेकिन वहाँ पे अभी जो चल रहा है वो कम से कम साउथ एशियन स्टडीज में और जो दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं FASS बोलते हैं उसको, फैकल्टी ऑफ आर्ट्स एंड सोशल साइंसेज, वहाँ पे एक ही इनटेक होता है एंड सेशन उनका जो शुरू होता है वो इनटेक वाला it starts in August, so 1st of August. So basically they start preparing for 1 year in advance. तो सपोज कि आपको अगस्त 2023 में एडमिशन लेना है, तो अब आपकी कार्रवाई जो है प्रिपरेशन शुरू हो जानी चाहिए. तो वो अगस्त में 1 साल पहले अनाउंस कर देते हैं कि आप अपना एप्लीकेशन भेजिए एंड देन आई गेस एज फार एज आई रिमेम्बर कि अक्टूबर में उनका कुछ डेडलाइन होता है, but you should check because it keeps changing, but then you have to cross check it and check it with the relevant officers there. So basically फिर आप जो आपका जो एरिया है जिस टॉपिक पे आप काम करना चाहते हैं, so you spend time on the website and find out a suitable supervisor or the academic you want to work with. आपको लगता है कि आपका जो टॉपिक है वो उनके काम से ज़्यादा करीब है, so you familiarize yourself with their work and then keep in touch. पहले कुछ छोटा राइटअप लिख के भेजिए, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट या कुछ आइडिया उनको दीजिए कि आप इस टॉपिक पे काम करते हैं करना चाहते हैं एंड देन यू वांट हिम और हर टू बी योर सुपरवाइजर. सो ये मैं PhD के लेवल की बात कर रहा हूँ, मास्टर्स में भी आप इसी तरह का प्रोसेस शुरू कर सकते हैं and then they keep visiting India also, so keep an eye. It's always good to meet the person face to face, उनसे अपने ideas discuss करें and then it will be really helpful. I mean, it will provide you also the opportunity to know the person apart from being an academic. So yeah, a supervisor should also be a good human being, supportive and all, because PhD की जो जर्नी है वो काफ़ी लंबी होती है. तो ये यूजफुल होगा कि आप 1 साल पहले से लोगों को लिखें, एक राइटअप, शॉर्ट राइटअप हो आपके पास like 250 words or 300 words, and then you pitch the idea. So if he or she responds positively, then you go ahead with writing a bit longer proposal and then also discuss like how to really shape it. Generally we are very attached to the idea which we have in our mind, because we are very close to it, and somehow it grow. The idea grows because of our engagement with the everyday politics, life, and experiences. बट ये भी इम्पोर्टेंट होता है कि आप अपना जब काम कर लेंगे, या पूरा पीएचडी कर लें या आप मास्टर्स की थीसिस लिख लें, तो उसको कैसे फिर मार्केट करें और कहाँ पे जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज जो है वो आपके लिए होंगी. सो सुपरवाइजर विल हेल्प यू कि कैसे आप उसको फ्रेम करें कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा ट्रैक्शन हो, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग आपके काम के साथ आइडेंटिफाई कर सकें, और जो करंट टॉपिक्स हैं, जो करंट इश्यूज हैं, वो अच्छी तरह से एड्रेस हो सके. So this is my bid. So I started a bit early, like in 2017 में मेरा intake था, तो मैंने 2016 से शुरू किया, and then somehow I managed to meet my future supervisor twice in Delhi. तो इससे एक अच्छा रैपो बन गया है ना, फिर बाद में काम करने में उसमें आसानी होती है. एंड मास्टर्स लेवल पे भी यही होता है कि आप जो है डिपार्टमेंट को सेलेक्ट करें, पहले किस डिपार्टमेंट में आप जाना चाहते हैं, साउथ एशिया में या किसी डिसिप्लिन में जाना चाहते हैं. तो मास्टर्स में दो तरह का मास्टर होता है वहाँ पे, एक एमए और मास्टर्स बाय रिसर्च और मास्टर्स बाय कोर्स वर्क. तो कोर्स वर्क में तो 4 सेमेस्टर्स होते हैं, तो चारों सेमेस्टर्स में आपको जो है मॉड्यूल्स लेने होंगे, एंड देन यू हैव टू परफॉर्म जो भी उसमें एग्जाम्स होता है या जो इवेल्युएशन की जो भी टेक्निक मैकेनिज्म है उनका, तो आपको वो उसको पूरा करना पड़ेगा. यू हैव टू पार्टिसिपेट इन क्लास डिस्कशंस एंड कम प्रिपेयर्ड, एंड देन प्रेजेंटेशन जो है उसको आपको देना पड़ेगा प्रेजेंटेशंस. उसके अलावा कुछ ग्रुप प्रोजेक्ट्स हो सकते हैं. और अगर आप मास्टर बाय रिसर्च लेते हैं तो आपका जो 4th सेमेस्टर होगा, 2 साल का एमए होता है, तो 4th सेमेस्टर में आपको एक थीसिस लिखनी पड़ेगी, दैट विल बी अराउंड 30,000 वर्ड्स. सो उसके लिए फिर आपको शुरू से ही आइडिया पिच करना और उसको उसको बेहतर से फ्रेम करना, उसके लिए रीडिंग लिस्ट बनाना, वो सब शुरू करना पड़ेगा, सो दैट यू कैन फिनिश इन टाइम. कभी कभी लोगों को 2.5 साल भी लग जाते हैं, या मास्टर पीएचडी जो 4 साल का प्रोग्राम है वहाँ पे 5 साल का प्रोग्राम है, बट देन द स्कॉलरशिप इज अवेलेबल ओनली फॉर 4 years. So it's a good to finish your PhD writing thesis within 4 years, but you can extend it, but then you will be on your own. कि आपका जो सेविंग है या आप अपने फिर अपने पॉकेट से उस पर वहाँ के जो एक्सपेंसेस हैं वो आप उसको मतलब उसको बेयर करें. जब स्कॉलरशिप मिलती है तो उसके लिए वहाँ पे 2 तरह का है. एक तो ट्यूशन फी भी वो मांगते हैं और साथ में स्कॉलरशिप भी देते हैं. तो अगर आप अप्लाई कर रहे हैं तो आप ये कंफर्म कर लें कि वो आपको ट्यूशन फी वेवर भी देंगे, आपको ट्यूशन फी पे नहीं करना है, और साथ में स्कॉलरशिप भी चाहिए. ये ऑप्शन होता है, कुछ लोग ये भी ऑप्ट करते हैं, जो लोग सिंगापुरियन हैं या जो साउथ एशियन है लेकिन उनके सिंगापुर में रहने का इंतजाम है, कि वो सिर्फ ट्यूशन फी वेवर ले लेते हैं या एक कोई चीज़ मिल गई उनको. तो ये फिजिबल नहीं होता है क्योंकि महंगा, इट्स एक्सपेंसिव कंट्री. सो यू शुड रिक्वेस्ट फॉर ट्यूशन फी वेवर कि आपको ट्यूशन फी नहीं पे करना है, एंड ऑल्सो यू शुड गेट स्कॉलरशिप. स्कॉलरशिप कई तरह के होते हैं. एक रिसर्च स्कॉलरशिप होता है जो पीएचडी में आपको $2,000 देते हैं, वो $2,000, and then after 2 years when you qualify for doing advanced research कि आप फील्ड वर्क करेंगे, and then now you get into your writing semesters, तो वो उसको $500 बढ़ाते हैं. तो अब जो है वो कुछ $2,200 हो गए हैं, and then 500 you add to that. तो ये एक जनरल स्कॉलरशिप है जो उनकी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन एंड लेबर मिनिस्ट्री के थ्रू यूनिवर्सिटी रूट करती है, नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ सिंगापुर. बट उसके अलावा और कई प्रोग्राम्स हैं, जैसे किंग्स कॉलेज के साथ एनयूएस का कोलैबोरेशन, तो उसके थ्रू भी आप जा सकते हैं. एंड देन यू हैव, व्हेन यू आर फिलिंग द फॉर्म, सो यू हैव टू इंडिकेट दैट यू वांट टू एंटर थ्रू दिस. सो देन यू आल्सो नीड टू बी इन टच विद किंग्स कॉलेज कोऑर्डिनेटर्स. तो आपकी स्कॉलरशिप दोनों जगह से आएगी या एक जगह से आएगी, एंड देन यू हैव टू डिवाइड योर टाइम बिटवीन सिंगापुर एंड लंदन किंग्स कॉलेज में. तो ये कुछ, इसके अलावा और भी एक प्रेसिडेंट स्कॉलरशिप है जो ज़्यादा पैसे देते हैं, but then it's very competitive also. So if you have credentials, so you can apply for it, and if you're lucky, you will get it. So this is my bit, Mr. Sabir. If there are questions, then I'll try to address.
Just what are the popular scholarship opportunities given by the both the countries? Can you just elaborate on that? क्या क्या मिल सकता है? Or if it is self-financing, so what are the cost implication of that kind of courses? So if you can highlight on that too. This is the two queries has come to us.
Okay, so I don't know about the self-financing, but then it's quite expensive. I won't advise that you go
Yeah.
for self-financing, right? यूनिवर्सिटीज दो हैं जो मतलब अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी जो मानी जाती हैं. एक तो नेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ सिंगापुर है, इट कम्स विद इन लाइक टॉप 20 यूनिवर्सिटी. दूसरा एक एनटीयू है, नैनयांग टेक्निकल यूनिवर्सिटी, तो वो भी उसकी रैंकिंग भी ठीक जा रही है. इट्स लाइक विद इन टॉप आई थिंक 40 और 30, तो काफी अच्छा जा रहा है वो. एंड देन दे आल्सो प्रोवाइड सम स्कॉलरशिप. तो स्कॉलरशिप अपॉर्चुनिटीज कम है, इट्स कॉम्पिटिटिव. And since you will be international students, so as in it's advisable to have a scholarship and then you go there.
So, and also, we in the previous speaker from the China is also spoken about, China become a great destination for medicine study. But, can you little bit elaborate on what are the popular stream from the humanities? Because in the neighboring country, even children from our state, from our province is also going to Bangladesh for the study of medicine. But we don't have much information about what are the courses in humanities available in Singapore or China. So can you speak a little bit on that? What are the courses, popular courses on humanities in Singapore?
Humanities, as in I don't know about the other universities. I mean, I was really, I restricted myself to my research. But then two is, I really recommend you to go to these two universities because they have quite a world famous good record, right?
Right.
So around like NUS definitely top 20, but then NTU also within top 30 or top 40. So if, I mean, it's important that you get a degree from a place which is, really recognized and revered in other places and help you in landing a good job.
Right.
So humanities, as in people generally go for MA. So for MA you can go for economics also. It's a good. MA sociology is good there. Psychology, if you are going that way, then yeah, definitely. Southeast Asian Studies, they have started MA in Southeast Asian Studies 1-year program. I think they are modeling it on along the lines of I think Oxford and Cambridge, maybe LSE also, where you can have a MA degree in just 1 year. So then MBA program is also quite good, because I met a couple of friends in my hostel who were from Pakistan and India. So yeah, and for economics, people go for MA by course, not by research, because then if you are considering a career outside academia, then I think it's good to have a MA by course. So yeah.
Right. Thank you so much.
And for PhD, I met a lot of students from engineering, and many of them were from IITs, different IITs like Kharagpur and Madras, Hyderabad. So there are a lot of students who go there for PhD also, because university is quite generous about providing a scholarship, and especially these engineering and medical faculties, they have a good industry connect. So they run a lot of projects, and that really funds students. So, and also it's good. A lot of my PhD friends from engineering faculty and other like not medicine but mostly engineering and computing. So they also got opportunities for postdoc studies because their supervisors were running some projects. So it was possible for them to, fund their postdocs as well. So
Okay.
yeah, I stop
I
here.
think, yeah. Thank you very much, for your useful information on educational opportunities in Singapore. Now we'll move to our next speaker, Dr. Tilak Jha, Associate Professor at Benetton University, ex-BBC, former Asian Future Leadership Scholar, founder I Can Govern. So I'll now request Dr. Tilak Jha to share his thought on, pursuing education in China.
Okay, so essentially in China, it's a huge country.
Yeah.
So
Just, before you start, I give background. The Consul General of Calcutta has already spoken, but, since you stayed there, so what are the opportunities? And now from his statistics, we got to know to study medicine is 78% student from India is going to pursue medicine. So, but if you can say other opportunities in China and what are the scholarship opportunities? So, over to Dr. Tilak Jha.
all right, so as far as non-medicine courses are concerned, there are huge opportunities in other science courses in particular. I think Chinese universities are looking for Indian students, and Indian students, for that matter, happen to be well taken. Whether they know about Delhi or not, they all know about Bangalore. So there is a USP about the Indian students' capability. They are taken as hardworking and that sort of thing. So there are sufficient number of scholarships in non-medicine courses, including science courses, and for that matter, humanities courses as well. Humanities is relatively less, but yeah, the science courses are fairly well represented. There are enough science courses there. And I think one key center source of applying for scholarships in China is the China Scholarship Council, CSC. So whatever scholarship is there, I think there are, this is the most important scholarship for that matter. And this scholarship platform, the kind of application that you prepare for this CSC also applies for other universities. So there are primarily 3 to 4 types of scholarship. One is the CSC, which is the national level central government scholarship. Then you have provincial government scholarships. Then you have municipality, which is basically district level scholarships. And then, of course, there are university scholarships. So you can say that primarily there are these major 4 categories where there are sufficient number of scholarships. And then there are niche scholarships, which is given by certain specific ministry or certain foundations. For example, I was there on a scholarship which was supported by Paishan Asia Institute in Hong Kong. And then, of course, you have the Swordsman Scholarship, which is which is to primarily study public policy at the Tsinghua University in Beijing, and is supported by Swordsman Foundation. And then there are a couple of other scholarships. For example, there is MOFCOM scholarship, which is like Ministry of Commerce scholarship. And of course, there are UNESCO scholarship and bilateral government scholarships. For example, in India, we have this MHRD scholarship. So MHRD, for example, sends around 50 students every year. Because of COVID, it has been disturbed, but around 50 students in general to go to China and study. So this is basically a combination of the Chinese central government scholarship and the Indian government support on top of that. But they are relatively fewer in number. The major number of scholarships are essentially the CSC, which anybody can directly apply. And so that is there. But the good thing about Chinese scholarships are that this application that you will prepare will be similar. So whether you apply for university scholarship or provincial government scholarship or even CSC national level scholarship or any other scholarship, more or less, the application remains the same. You prepare one application, more or less fill a similar kind of form, get the same health checkup and all the details done. And thereafter you apply, and then you send the application to everyone. Some scholarships are, of course, relatively more generous. For example, CSC in general, I think they have like undergrad courses, which is like BA program sort of thing, and then masters and PhD. So generally, there is a difference between the scholarship that you get for PhD. Usually, it is around 3,500 yuan per month, and then you have master's program, which will be relatively lesser, and then bachelor's program, which will be, there are also partial scholarships, of course. So this is there, but generally I think that this is enough money to survive in China. So once you have prepared the application, anybody who is willing to apply should send their application to all the universities wherever they have shortlisted. And then, of course, I think it is very likely that you will get a scholarship. The general criteria as far as the selection is concerned is, of course, your profile, which is primarily your percentage, your statement of purpose, your other extracurricular activities, your experiences, the usual factors which is under consideration in any university. But relatively, I think in case of China, you have more number of scholarships, so you have a better opportunity. Having said that, there are, of course, other issues. You'll be facing issues in sending the applications. At times, you'll have to figure out a bit of tests and everything, and then filling the form, and all these times, at times the website may not work. Those kind of issues may face. But if you start in time, usually the process of these scholarships starts around March, April, I think. So this year more or less the session has, I think because of COVID things have changed, but I believe that next year things will again come back to normal, hopefully. So around March, April, these applications start, and then the deadline goes around till June, May and June. Some of scholarship applications you should keep watch. They can have a different timeline, but most of the scholarship application process starts around February, March. Usually the last date is around May end, and thereafter they have the shortlisting process. If they have interactions and interview involved, then would be there. But mostly that may not be the case, except in the generous scholarship which is given by foundations. Otherwise, they don't have interview in general. Indian students are also exempted from English language test, unlike in Western universities. So but for that you have to prove that you have studied from English medium education. So once you have all these details, then application process is fairly easy, and then it goes on. And you can expect a call around June, July, and thereafter, of course, the visa process starts. So that is the process for. And the number of scholarship, as I said, there are 4 key types of scholarship, and you should keep a watch on the csc.laihua. It's like LAIHUA. You can just Google CSC China Scholarship Council scholarships. You will get all these details. I think Sabir, you want to say something?
Yeah. No. I just, somebody just asking about which website. So can you just repeat that? Number one, and also you just touch about the language thing. So beside English, is it necessary to have some proficiency in Chinese language before going to? So what are your campus experiences? How they, in terms of teaching and learning, is that help, or with English they can manage from here?
See, language, of course, if you know, that's better. Okay. But of course, most of the students may not have language background. Even if you have language background, there could be issues. So I'm sharing a link over chat as well. It's csc.edu.in. The application website is CSC Laihua, actually.
Right.
So once you Google CSC Laihua, you will simply find it. So that is usually not an issue. And then I think as far as the life in China is concerned, and your initial arrivals and all the other details are concerned, so that is fairly decent, actually. You'll have food issues, of course. I think, let's be honest about it. You'll have serious food issues at times in China, especially if you have certain restrictions on food. China happens to be one country which we all know that they eat everything, literally. So from the morning till the evening, you'll have, on a Chinese platter, you will see 5 different kinds of meat. So whether you happen to be a vegetarian, whether you happen to be a beef eating or not beef eating, whatever. So that sort of thing, those complications will really come in. But yes, having said that, in universities, they generally have Muslim restaurants. That is a very interesting thing, actually, because they have this Xinjiang, they have minority community of their own. Right. So they often have this Muslim community, and you can also search on the Chinese Google doesn't work, Facebook doesn't work. So of course you'll have to download the Chinese apps once you are in China. Preferably download before that, because the moment you land there, it will stop working. But then if you search on the Baidu map, which is like BAIDU, Baidu, it is. We call it its Chinese pronunciation is Baidu, but it's primarily Baidu actually. Baidu, that's what the world knows about it. So Baidu map, once you download and you search those things, you'll find restaurants and several things that you need. But food will be a real issue. I think apart from that, life is fairly easy. I think in the 2 years that I was there on a fellowship, we never had any water, air, or water, electricity issues as such. So those things are fairly well taken care of. You can travel all across China, even as a female. If you happen to be a female, it's fairly safe. No sort of public transport is fairly well taken care of. Well taken care of. So I think public transport is something you can rely on in almost every city in China. They're very decent public transport. But yes, of course, I think compared to India, the value of Chinese currency is high. So I think if you go on a scholarship, they will give you something called one-time settlement grant, OTS.
Right.
Okay. So that usually takes care of the initial major expenditure, and thereafter, I think on usual basis, you'll be spending, if you get hostel. Most of them get hostel actually. Not almost all of them get hostel. If you happen to be a scholarship, you'll definitely get hostel. So you'll be spending around, depending upon the city, of course. For example, in Beijing, you'll be spending maybe around 2,000, 2,500 yuan. You'll be able to save relatively less. In other cities, you'll have relatively less expenditure. It also depends upon your habit. If you love partying every night, then of course any budget can be shot.
Right.
But apart from that, I think the universities are fairly well funded, good infrastructure, good life, fairly huge campuses, and good facilities. So you can expect a good life in China.
So as you rightly started, by saying that beside medicine, there are other streams like Consul General is also talking about the study in the management, law, engineering are very popular and very sound core syllabus are there. So and there is a lot of opportunities, but unlike other countries like US, UK is much talked in India, but China is not in that sense a good popular destination. So and you have also mentioned about the cost effectiveness. If you go by scholarship, then it will cover everything. But even the Consul General was saying that in terms of the cost, it is as compared to US, UK, it is more, you can manage that. And there is no restriction also on earning while you are a student. So thank you, Dr. Tilak, for joining us today and sharing very key information about educational opportunities in China. Now,
I think there's a power cut, so I'm not visible actually, but I can hear you.
Sorry, you can't? Hello? Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Tilak, for joining us today. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So there's a power cut, so I'm not visible. But
okay, no problem. But we can hear you. So we can hear you. Thank you very much. This is really very insightful talk on the opportunities in educational opportunities in China.
By the way, I think just to add one,
please do.
While somebody is a student, working is usually not allowed if you are.
Okay. Oh, okay. Working is not allowed, but in maybe I don't know the exact scenario, but Consul General was saying that you can do, but there is no, maybe there is some legal binding, so that needs to be find out.
Yeah, you can of course take up part-time things, so that
part-time things only. So thank you once again. Now we'll invite Dr. Shravani Biswas, who did her PhD in South Asian environmental history, and now before moving to Singapore, and also she did postdoc at Earth Observatory of Singapore, Nanyang Technological University. I think that is a very renowned university. She is currently in India and teaching in the evening courses at the history department, Jadavpur University. So Shravani, just one request, till 7 we are speaking English and Hindi mix. Since you can speak also in Bangla, can you just mix your talk both in Bangla and English?
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Well, thank you, Sabir. Thank you, Farha, for giving me this opportunity. I hope I am. You can hear me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. My trajectory is a little bit different, and as I mentioned this to Farha yesterday, that I will actually. আমি আসলে পিএইচডি করেছি আমেরিকা থেকে, নর্থ আমেরিকা থেকে। তারপরে আমি পোস্ট ডক করতে আমি সিঙ্গাপুর যাই, এবং সিঙ্গাপুরে তাই জন্য আমি খুব যে স্কলারশিপের সিনারিওটা বলতে পারবো তা নয়। আমি যেটা হয়তো একটু আলোকপাত করতে পারবো সেটা হচ্ছে যে কিভাবে অ্যাপ্লাই করতে হয়, এবং আর কিভাবে কিভাবে অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করতে হয়, এবং মোস্ট ইম্পর্টেন্টলি এশিয়ান কান্ট্রিজ গুলোতে যেহেতু মেডিসিন, ল, ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং, ম্যানেজমেন্ট এটার উপরে অনেক বেশি প্রাধান্য দেওয়া হয়, সেখানে সেখানে আমার পার্সপেক্টিভটা একটু হিউম্যানিটি, সোশ্যাল সায়েন্সেস এর দিক থেকে আসবে। And most importantly, I will also try to throw a little bit of light on the interdisciplinary aspect, and how much it is I mean, the appeal of interdisciplinary research in international, in these kind of universities. So, আমি যেটা বলার চেষ্টা করছি সেটা হচ্ছে যে নানিয়াং টেকনোলজিক্যাল ইউনিভার্সিটিতে আমি 2017 সালে আমি যাই। ওখানে আমার পোস্টডক ছিল হচ্ছে, আমি হিস্ট্রি স্টুডেন্ট বাই দ্য ওয়ে, এবং যে কারণের জন্য আমি ইন্টারডিসিপ্লিনারি রিসার্চের ওপরে, গবেষণার ওপরে এমফাসাইজ করছি, তার কারণ হচ্ছে যে আমার গিয়ে কিন্তু I was recruited for a geological department. It was called the Earth Observatory of Singapore, and it is basically autonomous unit within Nanyang, and it did cutting edge kind of interdisciplinary research, and I was the only historian there, but I also focused, because I was working on something not just environmental history but also disaster and disaster politics, primarily related to cyclones and floods. So যেহেতু এই ধরনের প্রাকৃতিক দুর্যোগের ওপরে আমার কাজ, তো সেই কারণের জন্য তার একটা আমার ওখানে আমার সুপারভাইজার যিনি ছিলেন, ডক্টর প্যাট্রিক ডেলি, he was from actually archaeology and anthropology. So সেই কারণের জন্য একটা ভাইব্রেন্ট একটা ডিপার্টমেন্ট আমি পেয়েছিলাম, ভেরি ডিফারেন্ট, একদম হিস্ট্রি ডিপার্টমেন্টের থেকে, সবকিছু থেকে আলাদা। মোস্ট ইম্পর্টেন্টলি হিউম্যানিটিজ এর কাছে অত টাকা থাকে না, সেটা অনেক বেশি সায়েন্স এবং এই ধরনের ডিপার্টমেন্ট গুলোতে অনেক বেশি টাকা থাকে। সো রিসার্চ ওয়াজ নট আ প্রবলেম, and it was much more easier. So what came out of it was a publication for modern Asian studies, which was called Cyclone Not Above Politics. It focused on 1970 Bhola cyclone in Bangladesh, in then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. So আমি যেটা বলার চেষ্টা করছি, হিউম্যানিটিজ এর ক্ষেত্রে NUSA ARI মানে এশিয়া রিসার্চ ইনস্টিটিউট, এটা কিন্তু একটা খুব বড় একটা অপরচুনিটি। এবং NUS এর ওয়েবসাইটে গেলে আরিতে মানে যারা হিউম্যানিটিজ নিয়ে পারসিউ করতে চাও, তারা কিন্তু অবশ্যই এই সেন্টারটাকে দেখবে। এখানে আর একটা জায়গা আমি বলবো, এগুলো আমি সব সাবিরকে পাঠিয়েও দেবো, সেটা হচ্ছে HNet মানে হিউম্যানিটিজ অ্যান্ড সোশ্যাল নেটওয়ার্ক, মানে হিউম্যানিটিজ নেটওয়ার্ক, hnet.com, এইটা একটা ওয়েবসাইট আছে। সেখানে কিন্তু মানে সব ধরনের পোস্টডক, আমি সিঙ্গাপুরের পোস্টডকটা কিন্তু আমি এখান থেকেই পেয়েছিলাম। সো অ্যাজ এ রেজাল্ট, সো পোস্টডক, তারপরে এমনি কোথাও পিএইচডির জন্য অ্যাপ্লিকেশন, এগুলো কিন্তু ওই ওয়েবসাইট থেকে পাওয়া যায়। এবং ওখানে কিন্তু আরই বা NUS এর নানিয়াং টেকনোলজির যেটা হিউম্যানিটিজ সেন্টার, সেখান থেকেও যদি কখনো কোনো অ্যাডভার্টাইজমেন্ট বেরোয় ফর পিএইচডি অর ফর পোস্টডক, আমি বেসিক্যালি কথা বলছি হচ্ছে পোস্টডক রিলেটেড, কিন্তু এখানে পিএইচডি বা চাকরি এরকম ধরনের যদি কেউ খোঁজে তাহলে ওখানে পাওয়া যাবে, এবং এইচনেটটাকে যদি একটু এক্সপ্লোর করা যায় তাহলে ওখানে you will get a lot of information on HNet on different aspects, because it has different what should I say, different categories, so that will help you to kind of to define your search. So if you are looking for PhD opportunities, it will have. If you are looking for conference opportunities, so it will have all those categories. So make sure you look at HNet. It's a very important resource. I have found immense help on HNet. It sounds very simple and it's not that complicated, so it's easily accessible. So please look at it. And that being said, আরি ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে আরির ভেতরে বিভিন্ন ক্লাস্টার্স থাকে, সো ইউ ক্যান অ্যাকচুয়ালি ফোকাস ক্লাস্টার্স বলতে ডিফারেন্ট, যেমন STS I think it focuses on medicine, science, technology, something like that. So these are some of the clusters. It will sometimes it will focus on area studies, so you can actually look at the clusters and then you can approach the team leader. So there are different opportunities there. Nanyang technology is much more tilted towards your engineering and management. So humanities, I had looked for opportunities there, but there wasn't much. But you can also, if once you're in Singapore, please take the opportunity to attend different conferences, because there is a lot of this, they facilitate this. So if you're at NTU, please make sure you attend NUS conferences or seminars or something like that. So those are easily accessible things. And what else? I have focused mostly things. A little bit I would actually point out towards, I don't know how many people are applying, but one of the problems that I have faced while I apply is the little bit of email culture and how to approach professors and how to go about it. So since I faced a lot of major problems with that, so that's the reason why maybe this is unsolicited advice I'm giving you, but this is something which I would like to share. Emails, Singapore has a very hybrid culture. So it has somewhat, it has taken the westernized things, but some things remain very Asian. So sometimes you will get replies very fast. Sometimes you will not get replies at all. Sometimes it's very transparent. Sometimes it's very opaque. So when you're approaching professors or when you're approaching admin people, so it have time in your hand. So make sure that you don't hurry stuff, because they will reply to you when the time is right, when probably their logistics are right and everything. I found it very difficult because in US you could actually have this whole thing about, if you're sending an email on a Friday evening, then by Monday by 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning you are going to get a reply. So that was very different in Singapore for me. So some of those things, make sure you have a lot of time when you're approaching professors. Usually I joined in fall, that is basically in September, but some of my colleagues, they also joined in spring. So but their major recruitment is, I would guess, is fall. But Nanyang Technology actually had both. So I had seen PhD students at Nanyang joining in the spring semester as well. So that's something, if there are any questions.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Biswas. Really, it is very insightful, because almost in the first half we discussed many things, but less on the humanities, and also you focused on the interdisciplinary aspect of. You studied history, but you joined in a environmental Earth Observatory of Singapore. In that, so this is the opportunities, but as a destination for pursuing higher education, so what was the experience how Indian students are joining there? So what are the courses they are taking? If you can give some ideas.
Well, little bit that I have observed at Earth Observatory, there was clearly the faculty was very, very diverse, and student body was predominantly, the postdoc body was predominantly Chinese, Indian, and Europeans. Indian was probably me and one more person, and it was very diverse, Europeans, Southeast Asians. But the PhD body was primarily Chinese and Indians. And they would actually focus on a lot of, again, NTU, the department that I saw, because they were focusing on disasters. So there was a lot of focus on the seismic and tectonics. This was the language that everybody spoke there. And also a lot of people working on floods. But most of the Indians, I would say, they would actually, and actually one of them finished her PhD from Nanyang in 2021 and joined, I guess, as an assistant professor at IIT Kanpur this year. Right. So there are opportunities, and these are people who are very much into, and before, and I think one of the earlier speakers, he was actually mentioning that a lot of students who join there are from IITs. Yes, I mean, the PhD body predominantly was dominated by IITs there. And also even the postdocs to an extent, there were a lot of people who were there. So I would say they were very much interested in studying earthquakes and across not just Southeast Asia, but also in not just Southeast, but also in Brazil, in Latin America, Central America, and other parts, but primarily Southeast Asia, because it was easier for them to kind of conduct the field work there. So that's what I observed there. Yeah.
আমার মনে হয় খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ কয়েকটি বিষয় নিয়ে পড়াশোনার সুযোগ আছে, যেমন ভাবে আপনি এনভায়রনমেন্টের কথা বললেন বা আর্থকুইক নিয়ে স্টাডি করতে। এখন যেহেতু সারা বিশ্ব জুড়ে ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ নিয়ে এবং তার ফলে আর্থকুইক বা ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জের অন্য যে স্বরূপগুলো আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি সেই নিয়ে আলোচনা এবং পড়াশোনার সুযোগ আছে, এবং ইন্টারডিসিপ্লিনারি, যেমন আপনি হিস্ট্রি পড়ে এই ধরনের সুযোগ পেয়েছেন, আমার মনে হয় এইটা হয়তো অন্য আমাদের মতো দেশে সহজে পাওয়া যায় না। আপনাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ। আজকে আমাদের এই ওয়েবিনারে WBMDFCর পক্ষ থেকে আপনাকে আরেকবার কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাই। আমরা চলে যাচ্ছি এর পরের স্পিকার। নাও উইল মুভ টু আওয়ার নেক্সট স্পিকার, এন্ড দ্য লাস্ট স্পিকার, Manishankar Prasad is an ESG consultant and independent scholar based in Mumbai. He has read MSc in environmental engineering from the National University of Singapore and PhD coursework in human geography while working on a Ministry of Education project. Over to Manishankar Prasad. Just a second, he's giving access. I can hear you. Hi.
Hi, assalamu alaikum. My name is Manishankar, and I have done, I've studied 2 masters and half a PhD at NUS and NTU. So right. I've lived and worked in Singapore for about 8 years. Right. So right now I'm based in Bombay. As you can listen in the background, there's a lot of Visarjan activities taking place in the background. So apologies for that. But I'm a very interdisciplinary person. I'm trained as an environmental engineer, but I moved into migration research and migration scholarship because I worked in think tanks in Singapore, also in NUS and NTU, by the way. So I will be able to shed light on the fact that even if you don't have a linear career trajectory, you can find scholarships and you can find opportunities. But the important part about Singapore is you must have a very, very strong niche area. If you're going in for a PhD, you need to have publications. You need to understand what is your core interest. And I do agree with whatever Dr. Biswas just mentioned before me, that it's a hybrid culture of both American and British influences. So it will be a bit complicated, and it is, in terms of a culture, you need to understand that they are very research minded and research focused. So if a student is applying from Jadavpur, or if a student is applying from Shibpur, or from Presidency, or any university in Kolkata or in West Bengal, আর আমি বাঙালি তাই জন্য আমি বাংলা বলতে পারি, আমি বাংলা বুঝতে পারি, তাই জন্য ওইখানে প্রচুর ছাত্র আর ছাত্রী আসে, স্পেশালি কলকাতা থেকে, আইআইটি থেকে তো আসেই, বাট ওরা যাদবপুর থেকে আসে, ওরা প্রেসিডেন্সি থেকে আসে, প্রচুর স্টুডেন্ট বায়োলজিক্যাল সায়েন্সেস ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড থেকে আসে, হিউম্যানিটিস তো আছেই, যাদবপুর থেকে প্রচুর হিউম্যানিটিস আছে, টাটা ইনস্টিটিউট অফ সোশ্যাল সায়েন্সেস থেকেও প্রচুর স্টুডেন্ট আসে, আর ভালো ছাত্র, কেউ জিআরই লিখে আসে, কারোর এনইটি এক্সাম লিখে আসে, তো মানে দে আর দ্য বেস্ট অফ দ্য বেস্ট which they offer, but অনেকে সিঙ্গাপুরকে সেকেন্ড বা থার্ড অপশন হিসেবে ট্রিট করে। So what I would suggest is, if you find the best professor at NUS and NTU or SMU that you want to work in, please apply under them, please email them. That's what I would say.
মানে মানে আনমিউট করে নিন একটু।
একদম, আমার ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডে প্রচুর আওয়াজ হচ্ছে বিকজ আজকে বিসর্জনের দিন বোম্বেতে, তাই জন্য আনফরচুনেটলি there is background celebrations which you can listen to, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way that you look at it. তো আমি বলতে চাইছি, I was doing a PhD in human geography at NUS. I completed my coursework. I did 1.5 years of research under a Ministry of Education project. So আমার ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডটা একটু mixed. So I worked at NUS and NTU on these research projects. বড় research projects I worked, but they were linked to academic programs. They were linked to an MA, they were linked to a PhD. So I worked under that. So there are normal scholarships which students can apply to, but there are also scholarships which you can apply to professors, because professors have these huge, massive grants. So you can speak to them, you can search, especially science and engineering is a প্রচুর grant থাকে, মানে both in NUS and NTU, আর প্রত্যেকটা প্রফেসরের কাছেই রিসার্চ ফান্ডিং থাকে, ওদের কাছে গ্রান্ট থাকে। So I would personally suggest students from West Bengal, from Kolkata and from other parts of West Bengal as well, to essentially write to these professors and to basically search, speak with them. The best way is to engage. If you are interested in a PhD, please don't apply to them at the last moment. Please don't write to them at the last moment. Please write to them in your final year of masters, your final year of your undergrad. অনেকে after BTech or a PhD পেয়ে যায়, so apply to them, explore the opportunities, and I suppose there are many opportunities, but don't treat Singapore as your second option after US, Canada, and Europe. That's what I would like to say, Professor.
মনি, অনেক ধন্যবাদ। আপনিও এই আজকের প্রোগ্রামে অনেকটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ সংযোজন করলেন এবং আপনি বললেন যে যেটা বারবার আপনি বললেন যে থার্ড অপশন হিসেবে না ভেবে এটাকে প্রথম অপশনও ভাবা যেতে পারে, এবং অনেক ধরনের সুযোগ কিন্তু এখানে সিঙ্গাপুরে পড়ার ক্ষেত্রে তার গুণগত মান এবং এখানে সুযোগের দিক থেকে আপনি যেমন ভাবে বললেন, বাংলা থেকে অনেকগুলো ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে, ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং যেমন আছে, সোশ্যাল সায়েন্স থেকেও কিন্তু অনেক স্টুডেন্টই সিঙ্গাপুরে পড়তে যায় এবং পড়ার গুণগত মানের কথাও বললেন যে এখানে। আর বিভিন্ন যে নর্মাল স্কলারশিপের বাইরেও, যেটা আমরা প্রথম থেকে শুনছিলাম চায়নার ক্ষেত্রে বা অন্য দেশের ক্ষেত্রেও, বিভিন্ন প্রফেসরের কাছে কিন্তু তার ফান্ডিং গ্রান্ট থাকে, সেখান থেকে পিএইচডি বা অন্য পড়াশোনা করার সুযোগ থাকে। এইগুলো কিন্তু আমাদেরকে নিয়মিত ইন্টারনেটের সাহায্য নিয়ে আমাদেরকে খুঁজে যেতে হবে। এর ফলে কিন্তু আমরা আমাদের নিজেদের রাস্তায় বার করব। আমরা নিশ্চয়ই অন্য কোনো সময় স্টেটমেন্ট অফ পারপাস বা কিরকম ধরনের পিচ করতে হয় এগুলো নিয়ে খানিকটা আলোচনা আগেও হয়েছে, পরেও হবে। কিন্তু আজকে আমরা প্রায় দেড় ঘন্টারও বেশি সময় ধরে চায়না এবং সিঙ্গাপুরে পড়ার যে বিষয় নিয়ে আলোচনা, এডুকেশনাল অপরচুনিটি এবং স্কলারশিপ, এগুলো নিয়ে কিন্তু আমাদের বেশ ধারণা তৈরি হয়েছে, এবং আমরা যারা ইউটিউব এবং ফেসবুকে দেখছেন এবং অনেকেই প্রশ্ন পাঠিয়েছেন, আমরা সেই প্রশ্নগুলোর উত্তর দেবার চেষ্টা করেছি। আপনাদের নিশ্চয়ই কাজে লাগবে। আমরা একেবারে অনুষ্ঠানের শেষ দিকে আপনারা জানেন যে প্রতি শুক্রবার আমরা প্যান্ডামিকের সময় থেকে প্রায় ৭৪টি পর্ব জুড়ে নানান বিষয় নিয়ে আলোচনা করেছি, এবং এটা অনেকের কাজে লাগছে বলে জানিয়েছেন, এবং আগামী দিনে আমরা কি কি ধরনের বিষয় নিয়ে আলোচনা করতে পারি তার মতামত আপনারা নিয়মিত হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ বা আমাদের যে হেল্পলাইন নাম্বারগুলো আছে সেখানে পাঠান। কেরিয়ার পথ নির্দেশ এই অনলাইন আলোচনায় আপনি যেমন উপকৃত হচ্ছেন, অন্যদের উৎসাহিত করুন এই ওয়েবিনারে যোগ দিতে। আগেই বলেছি যে আমাদের এই এপিসোডগুলো WBMDFCর ফেসবুক অফিসিয়াল ফেসবুক চ্যানেলে এবং ইউটিউবে পাওয়া যায়। অনেকেই পরে দেখেন এবং আপনাদের মতামত জানান। 2 ঘন্টার এই কর্মকাণ্ডের পেছনে অনেকের ভূমিকা থাকে, আমরা তাদের কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাই। WBMDFC চেয়ারম্যান মাননীয় মোহাম্মদ গুলাম আলী আনসারী মহাশয়, WBMDFCর এমডি মাননীয় মৃগাঙ্ক বিশ্বাস মহাশয়, GM মোহাম্মদ নাকি, WBMDFC অন্য সহকর্মীবৃন্দু আমার সঙ্গে প্রযুক্তিগতভাবে ছিলেন, সহযোগিতা ছিলেন সোহেল ও আয়েশা, তাদের প্রতি কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাই। আমি আপনাদেরকে শুভরাত্রি জানিয়ে শেষ করছি। সাবির আহমেদ, ধন্যবাদ। থ্যাংক ইউ।